these people call themselves realists, but they're nothing more than just plain old garden variety pessimists. You know, just once I'd like to hear one of them say, let's be realistic. We don't know what all our capabilities are here. It could be that we have unlimited potential. It could be that anything is possible. And it's in that spirit that I'd like to talk with you folks this afternoon about two people from my sometimes eccentric list of heroes. Well, now, when Harry was in the first part of his life, he was stuck in first gear. Well, that is when he wasn't stuck in reverse. As a teenager, his family lost the family farm. So Harry could not go to college as he had planned. He tried to get into West Point, but his eyesight was too poor. So Harry held a string of jobs. He was a timekeeper for a railroad construction gang. He was a clerk for a couple of different banks. Now, after a few years, and with Harry's help, his family was able to buy another farm. And Harry became what he was truly destined to be, a farmer. At the age of 33, he was still unmarried, he still lived with his family, and he lived on the family farm. Now, in today's more cynical age, someone would probably be quick to label him a loser. Harry was no loser. When the United States entered World War I, Harry volunteered to serve, even though he was exempt from the draft. Now, this was, in those days, the National Guard still elected its officers, and Harry was elected first lieutenant. It would not be his last electoral victory. He served with distinction throughout World War I, rising to the rank of captain. And after the war, he returned home, married his sweetheart, and opened a men's clothing store. And let me tell you, that store became, well, it became a failure. That's what it became. So now, 1922, age of 38, Harry was out of business, he was broke, he was in debt up to his eyeballs. Yet, in 1945, at the age of 61, this man without a college education, but with a keen native intelligence, without wealth, and he spent years paying off those debts, but a tremendous capacity for hard work. This common man, with an uncommon amount of common sense, this extraordinary, ordinary man named Harry Truman became President of the United States. Now, Julia McWilliams, well, she was quite different than Harry Truman. You see, she was born to a wealthy California family, and money would never be a problem for Julia. And she went to college. In fact, she graduated from Smith College at a time when fewer than 5% of American women graduated college. Now, when the United States entered World War II, Julia also volunteered to serve her country, joining the OSS, a forerunner to what we now call the CIA. You see, Julia wanted to become a spy. Well, they made her a secretary. But it was in the OSS in China that she met her future husband, Paul. Now, she and Paul used to go out to eat a lot because, frankly, Julia wasn't a very good cook. In fact, she always used to kid that Paul married me despite my poor cooking. Well, after the war, they returned to the United States. Paul joined the Foreign Service, and it was at their very first meal in Paris that Paul Child's bride, Julia, yes, Julia Child, had an epiphany. You see, French cuisine was art, and she decided to learn everything she could about it. She enrolled in the famous French cooking school Cordon Bleu. Along with two of her friends, they formed their own informal cooking school, and they started to write a cookbook. Julia was 37 years old. It took 12 long years with Julia testing and retesting each and every recipe to perfection before that cookbook was published in 1961, when Julia was 49 years old, as mastering the art of French cooking. And it set the publishing world on its ear, selling over 650,000 copies. But it was 2 years later when national educational television started a little cooking show called The French Chef, when Julia became really famous. At age 51, Julia Child was a star. Now, by all rights, Harry Truman should have remained a farmer. Julia Child should have remained a housewife. By all rights, we should never have heard of either one of them, but we did. When they tapped into talents and abilities that no realistic person would have assumed they possessed. So whenever you are stuck, just ready to accept the status quo, when your dreams have been shot full of holes, I want you to think about Harry and Julia. Harry Truman, broke and out of business at age 38, and Julia Child just completing her magnum opus at age 49. And let's be realistic.